Arise, Queens. This is the All Queens Army, where women are provided with the tools you need to overcome your fears, face your flaws, and experience breakthroughs as you develop self-esteem so strong you emanate royalty. Now, for your host and commander of the All Queens Army, Breizy Time.
Welcome to the All Queens Army podcast. This is your girl, your host, Breizy Time. I am here today with another dope episode for the Queens. Yes, honey, it is another wonderful, beautiful, dope-ass motivational Monday with me and my queens. You know I'm excited to be in your ear because you queens are always in my heart, okay? So here we are with another dope Monday, y'all. I hope that you queens are ready to tackle this week, to kick this week's ass, to get some things done, okay, to be super duper productive. And more importantly, I hope that you're here so that I can motivate the shit out of you, okay? Because I have a really good episode for you queens today. Before we get into today's topic, what I want to do, what I always do, is tell you queens about the new website, which I've mentioned in every new episode of season 3. I'll not mention it like next week and the week after, okay? I think you guys got it by now, right? But anyway, we have a new website. We had to upgrade because the queen community is growing and because there's so much new content on the website, okay? So what we have on the new website is e-courses. Woo-hoo! So this is the first season that I've dropped some e-courses for you queens. The e-courses are continuations of certain episodes where we're talking about ways to overcome, ways to learn, ways to evolve, things that you need to do to work on something within your life so that you can start manifesting the things that you want, so that you can start healing some of the pains, some of the traumas that you have gone through and prevent things from holding you back. So that's what the e-courses are for. We also have a motivational blog that I write for the queens every Thursday at 6 a.m. So it's the perfect time for you to grab your favorite cup of tea, your cup of coffee, and sit down and get some motivation to get your day started, okay? Last but not least, if you have not subscribed to the All Queens Army podcast, you can go over to the website at allqueensarmy.com, click on the subscribe tab. You can choose from Apple Podcasts, Google Play, SoundCloud, Spotify, YouTube, and iTunes, and you can subscribe to the podcast. So do that. That way you get a notification every time there's a new episode. And with that being said, we're going to hop into today's topic, okay? So last week, if you tuned in to the last episode was so very interesting, such a good topic, one that I love talking about because I saw myself in that situation all through and through, honey, okay? So today's episode is a little bit of a continuation of last week's episode, and we're going to be going a little bit deeper. Today's episode may not be as long because I just wanted to finish up the conversation from last week. So I haven't yet had an opportunity to read through your comments on the website if you left any, because queens, remember that usually I'm recording podcast episodes a couple weeks before they start dropping. So I'm actually recording this episode right after I finished the last episode. Last week, what we were talking about is something that I see all the time, whether I'm perusing through Instagram, Facebook, reading comments on other posts from some of the other motivators that are on Instagram, whether I'm talking to some of the queens personally in my life, DMs, emails, all kinds of stuff. I hear so often that women are so frustrated because the man that you're dating, the man that you like, the man that you want, the man that you're engaged to in some sort of a relationship with, seeing, dating, messing around with, whatever, that relationship is not exactly where you want it to be. You need that person to get his crap together, or even if it's a woman, it's not specific to men, but if it's a woman too, that person isn't getting their crap together. You guys aren't committed at the level that you want, or there's something missing about that relationship. However, there is a man or a woman that really likes you, that's super duper in love with you, that would drink your dirty bath water, and you are not into that person, okay? You are not attracted to the one who likes you. And that's what we talked about last week. And the reason that I kind of laugh about that topic is because that was me prior to about 6 years ago, before I got connected with and married my husband. Because, child, you could not tell me that he was the person for me. I did not want any parts of him. He just wasn't the person that I expected to spend the rest of my life with. He just didn't seem like what it was that I wanted. As women, we want someone who's confident. We want someone who's swaggy. We want a man who's going to put us in our place. We want a man who's not going to let us run over top of him. There's just certain things that we're looking for a lot of times as women. And that was certainly something that I was looking for. So I was not into my current husband at the time. I wasn't into him. I was chasing everything but the type of man that I ended up being with. So that's what the last episode was about. And we go into detail. So if you didn't hear it and you want to get caught up, hit pause, go to the last episode, check that one out, and then come back. And then what we're talking about today will probably make a little bit more sense. So with that being said, what I want to do today is go into the second half of the conversation from the last episode because we kind of ran out of time. And where I was going with that topic last week was to make sure that you are what you expect your spouse to be. If you're looking for a relationship, a lifelong partnership, a marriage, whatever it is, if you're looking for that long-term committed relationship, someone that you want to build your life with, you have to make sure that you are what it is that you're expecting from your spouse. So many times and so often, what I see is that people have these expectations out of relationships and of other people, and they don't themselves meet the expectations that they have of others. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. It is a continuation of the conversation from last week. So if some of what I'm saying doesn't make sense, again, go to the last episode and check that out first. Okay, so the first thing that we do on these types of episodes is I explain to you, queens, what I mean about making sure that you are what you expect your spouse to be. What exactly do I mean by that? I explain it so that we're making sure that we're on the same page so that I'm not talking about one thing and you're assuming something different. So what I mean is this. Most of us know what we want from the other person, okay? We know what it is that we're looking for. We have a set criteria of what we're looking for. Some of the things that people say that they want out of their potential spouse are physical attributes. Some of the things are financial. Some of the things are like career achievement. Some of the things are credit related. Some of the things are their living situation, their past relationships, how many children they have, relationships that they have with their parents, their friends, or their families, what they do for a living, things like that. You queens know what I'm talking about. So most of us as women have a list of those things that we want in a spouse. And that's what I mean. When I say make sure you are what you expect your spouse to be, that's what I mean. That list of things that you want out of someone else, you have to make sure that you're also those things. Example, you want to make sure that if your expectation is that your potential spouse has good credit, then what you want to do is make sure that you have good credit. Another example, if you have an expectation that your spouse has a good relationship with their family, then you need to work on the relationship with your family. Make sure that your relationship with your family is solid. And here's why I say that, because what I have observed a lot is that people who expect their potential spouse to have good credit, I'm just going to use that as an example again. People who expect that, I want him to have good credit or I want her to have good credit. What I've observed a lot is the person that's requiring the good credit a lot of times doesn't have good credit either. The other side of that is the person who's requiring the potential spouse to have good credit does have good credit. And the reason that they're requiring their potential spouse to have good credit is because they don't want the potential spouse to come into the relationship and be beneath them or to have less than them. Does that make sense? So I see that happen a lot of times when people have expectations. Let me address both sides of that coin, and then we're going to go into some consequences. If you are the person who's requiring something from a potential spouse that you don't yet have, 9 times out of 10, the reason that you're requiring it is because you don't have it, so you want someone else to have it. Totally unfair. And I'll get into it a little bit deeper later in the episode, but totally unfair. You can't expect for someone to bring more to the table than what you can bring to the table. So that's that side of the coin. Let's address the other side of the coin, which are people who may have good credit and they're expecting for their potential spouse to have good credit because they don't want someone coming to the table with less than what they have, or someone coming to the table and riding their coattail, or someone coming to the table and kind of dragging them down. I totally get that. Let me tell you why I disagree with that just a little bit. Because relationships are a thing that you create and that you build. It is a partnership that you build. A lot of times the best parts of the relationship are the parts that you create together, okay? So the person that you want, the person that you can spend the rest of your life with, who could be a great candidate, who could love you to death, they may have some peaks and valleys. They may have some things that aren't quite where you would like them to be, but if they are a person who's willing to work on it, if you have a good credit score and theirs is, you can actually help help that person get there. As long as there's a trade-off, there could be something that you're a little bit weaker with and that person could be super strong, and it doesn't have to be superficial. So you have to just keep an open mind. That's all I'm saying for the other side of that, because I do understand women having certain expectations because they don't want to be used, they don't want to be taken advantage of, because I know that happens a lot. So sometimes women will create certain standards because they've reached a certain point and they don't want to date someone that's beneath that to pull them down. I totally get that. But queens, just make sure that you're keeping an open mind in regards to those particular characteristics. Just because someone is falling short of beneath, quote unquote, where you are, and I'm saying beneath with quotes because I don't really mean beneath someone, because I don't really think anyone is beneath anyone. But if someone is not quite at the same level that you are with certain characteristics, it doesn't mean completely shut them down or don't give that person a chance or an opportunity. That could be a situation where you're stronger in that particular aspect and that person needs some help and they need to build and they need to grow, which is totally fine. So that's your strength. And then vice versa, that person may have a strength in an area that you are weaker in that you need to grow. So as long as you guys can balance each other out and you're willing to grow and learn how to become stronger in your weakness where that person is strong, they can help you. Vice versa. You may be able to teach that man how to rebuild his credit and how to get his credit where it needs to be, as long as he's willing to work on it. But the two of you have to be willing to work on it. So keep in mind that the man or the woman that you could potentially spend the rest of your life with, they don't always come packaged perfectly. The relationship that you want doesn't always exist upon meeting the person. The person that you want doesn't always exist upon meeting the person. Relationships are an institution for growth. So the bottom line is, queens, we have to learn how to see what the person has at their foundation and what they're capable of. And again, I know a lot of women will say, well, too many of us women fall in love with potential. I agree. But there's a difference in falling in love with potential because the person has potential. Just because they have potential doesn't mean that they're willing to put in the work. So we have to start examining the foundation of a person and identifying, are they willing to do the work? Are they willing to put in the effort? Because if they're willing to put in the effort, I think some of the things that are on your list, queens, that either you're expecting them to have because you don't, or you're expecting them to have because you do and you don't want to accept anything less. Some of those things you may want to reevaluate a little bit, okay? Just my suggestion. Don't shoot the messenger. It's just my suggestion. All right. So I just wanted to throw that out there to make sure we're on the same page when we talk about making sure you are what you expect from your spouse or your potential spouse. I just wanted to make sure we were on the same page. I think we are now. Those things that I just said, those are just examples. You can take out good credit and you can insert any other characteristic, any other thing that you want specifically in regards to a relationship. All right, let's talk about some of the consequences. If you are not trying to become exactly what it is that you're expecting from your spouse, here are some of the consequences that you can experience in your dating and your relationship life, okay? Here's the first one. You could wind up getting stuck in a cycle of unsuccessful and bad relationship outcomes. It could start to feel like Groundhog Day, where you're experiencing the same type of problem over and over and over again in and out of different relationships, but it's a different person. Same problem, different person. And it feels like Groundhog's Day. That's what I call a cycle. A lot of times why that happens is because what you're expecting from the person is not who you are yet. You're focusing on something and you keep getting it. You're not reevaluating what it is that you're asking for. You're not reevaluating what it is that you're attracting. You're not trying to figure out what it is about you that's pulling you back into the same situation over and over and over again. There's a saying that says that the universe will make you go through the same lesson until you pass the test. So if you find yourself in a cycle of unsuccessful relationships where it seems like same scenario, but it's just a different person, same scenario, but it's just a different face, you may want to take a look at what it is that you need to learn from that situation and adjust what your expectations are, adjust the type of man that you're trying to attract, adjust the type of person that you keep finding yourself attracted to over and over and over again. Okay, here's another consequence. If you don't try to become the person that you expect your spouse to be or your potential spouse to be, you can wind up having a skewed perception of what you need or what you want from a long-term relationship or partner. And the reason that I say that you can have a skewed perception is because a lot of times the things that we want so badly, the things that we long for are what we're missing. And I talked about that in the last episode as well. Okay. So again, if you need to go back to that one and you hadn't listened to it, go back to it and listen to it. A lot of times what we're attracted to is what we don't have. If there's something within us that we want, that we've been praying for, that we've been hoping for, this is just something that I want this really badly. If we don't have it, but someone else does have it, what it does is it makes you start focusing on what you don't have, and you start chasing that type of person, the person who actually fulfills the void of what you're missing. If that's what you're doing because you don't have it, because you're not the person who has that characteristic or that quality or whatever it is, if you're void of it and you're chasing it, you're focusing on something that you don't have, as opposed to focusing on qualities that would make a long-lasting, loving relationship that makes you feel happy, fulfilled, and secure. You wind up focusing on the wrong thing. And because you're focusing on the wrong thing, you're going to continue to attract the wrong thing. Now, I don't even mean to use the word wrong because that's subjective, right? What you like is what you like. But the reason that I choose the word wrong is because you're going to keep attracting someone who actually does have that thing that you want. And instead of you fulfilling that thing that you want for yourself so that you can start to want to attract things that hold more value, you keep attracting the thing that you're missing. And I can tell you like this, if you keep attracting someone or chasing someone that has what you're missing, you're never going to get it because it's not yours, it's theirs. So keep that in mind, okay? Here's another consequence. You can overlook the negative characteristics of a person who is not fulfilling your needs. How many times have we as queens been in relationships like that where we're with someone and we're not being fulfilled, we're not getting what we need, and we know that there's probably a good chance that we'll never get there. We know that there's probably a good chance that we're never going to quite get what we need from this person. However, we just keep staying, we keep hanging in there, we keep holding out hope, we keep talking until we're blue in the face, we keep asking the person to change, we keep telling the person what we need, we keep crying, we keep breaking up and getting back together and breaking up and getting back together. We're trying everything to hold on for dear life, overlooking the entire time that you are not being fulfilled and you're not getting what you need from that relationship, but tolerating it over and over and over again for long periods of time for some of us. It happens, queens. So you have to be careful about that because that is another cycle that you don't want to get yourself into. It's a toxic relationship cycle. How many of us know women, friends, family members, even ourselves who have been in or are in toxic relationships where they just keep repeating this cycle over and over and over again, where the person that they with says, okay, I'll do it, I'll change, I'll make an effort. And then they do it for a little while and then they're back to normal. And you stay and you make excuses, or the person they stay and they make excuses, and it just literally starts all over again. And it's a toxic cycle. And it stems from you focusing on trying to get something out of a person that you aren't willing to do for yourself. Okay, here's the last consequence that I'm going to bring up. If you continue to expect from a potential spouse things that you do not have or characteristics that you do not have, you can become attached or addicted to the wrong person because they're filling the void that you have of pain or insecurity or some sort of trauma, because they are temporarily soothing that issue for you. Baby, what a big one that is. What a big one, queens. Let me tell you something. When you find a person who will fulfill your insecurities, literally, it's like a drug. This person is constantly fulfilling your insecurities. Your insecurities are so loud. They scream. They want to be hugged. They want to be kissed. They want to be caressed. They want to be acknowledged. They want to be fixed. And you're trying to fix that. You're trying to mend that. You're trying to soothe that with someone who has a quality or a characteristic who can make it feel good for a moment, because it's always for a moment. It's always temporary. They can't fix it forever. They can't fix it permanently. Only you can do that. Only you can heal yourself. Only you can fix those issues that are deep within you. Okay. So when you find someone, it can become an addiction, because literally every time you cry out, they give you a quick fix. Every time you scream for attention, they give you a quick fix. Every time you act out, they give you a quick fix. And then you wind up being addicted to just that part of the relationship. You're not even addicted to the person. You're not even in love with the person. Real talk. What you care about is what you're getting out of that situation. What you care about is that quick fix that you're getting out of that situation. That's what you care about. And it becomes an addiction, almost to the point where if that person were to kind of break away from you, or when you start feeling like you're losing that person, it's literally like you're afraid, you're scared, you feel so much pain. You feel like something is being ripped off of you. It's a very scary thing. So you have to be careful with that. Make sure that you are not expecting from someone else what you're not willing to do for yourself, Queens. That is very important, especially for this particular consequence. Okay, so Queens, let's get to the how to resolve this portion of the episode, okay? Let's jump over and start talking about some tips and some solutions as to how can you kind of turn this around. So here's number one. The first thing is that you should try to understand that you're asking more from someone else than what you're requiring of yourself. Now, if you're not even able to achieve some of the things that you're requiring, how can you really truly hold someone else accountable for being something that you're not? Queens, we have to make sure that we're holding ourselves to the top tier of accountability before anyone else. We have to make sure that we are what we need to be. We have to make sure we're doing what we need to do, because if you're expecting it from someone else, you're giving away your power. The only way that you're ever going to attract what it is that you want is to become it. You actually have to be what you want. You can't expect someone else to do what you think they should do, be who you think they should be. Why? To benefit you? You're not even doing it to benefit you. That part is just an understanding. It's just opening your eyes, opening your mind, and seeing things from a different perspective and having more expectations of yourself, holding yourself to a higher standard, having more accountability to you than you have for someone else, because we can't control other people. We can't control what they do, how they are, how they act, what they say, how they treat us. The only thing that we can control is us, just us, ourselves. So that's the first thing. The second thing is do the work on you. Become what you want. Actually do the work. Put it into action. I'm going to keep using the same example of someone wanting from their potential spouse to have good credit. Let's just use the same example because we've been using it throughout the whole episode, okay? If that's what you require, if that's what you expect from your potential spouse, then you need to do the work. If you don't yet have good credit, then instead of focusing on someone else who does and someone else who should, do the work yourself so that you can get there for you, okay? Do the work. And just going back to this same topic that we talked about earlier, if you're one of those people, you already have good credit, but you require it, just reevaluate and make sure that you're open to someone, if it's the right person, that maybe that person doesn't have that, because credit don't love no damn body. Your credit has nothing to do with how you love a person, a bond that you're able to build with a person, the level of respect and all of that good stuff. It's deeper than that. So just reevaluate that piece of it. The other thing that I want you queens to understand and think about is the more you want something, the more it runs away from you. It's almost like the butterfly effect. Have any of you queens ever heard of that butterfly effect where every time you try to grab a hold of a butterfly, it flutters away? A lot of people say it about love. So it's funny that this is the scenario that we're putting it in, because most of the times when you hear about that theory, it's in regards to love. So when you're thinking about it from that perspective of love, the more you chase it, the more it runs away. The more you try to capture it, the more it's elusive. You can't quite put your hand on it because it doesn't want to be captured. Nothing that you chase is going to come to you. Nothing that you want super badly is ever going to come to you. The only way that you're ever going to attract what it is that you want, the only way that that butterfly will land on your shoulder, the only way that love will land in your backyard is if you start loving yourself. Whatever it is that you want, you actually have to be. Whatever it is that you want, you actually have to do. So once you learn that, once you understand that, the more that you chase it, the more you demand it, the more you want it, the more you thirst for it, the more you hunger for it, the further away it gets. It just keeps eluding you. It keeps running away. Nothing wants to be captured, not even love, not people, not things, not money. Nothing wants to be captured to be used for your benefit. And so understand that if you are trying to attract certain qualities in a person because you need it for your benefit, because you're lacking it, honey, you're never going to get it. It's going to elude you every single time, even when it seems like it's super duper close. Right before it actually comes, hits, right before the commitment, something happens and it prances away. All right, so that's the second one. Here's number 3. Date yourself. Take yourself out on dates. I see and hear this a lot, and a lot of people say, I don't want to go out by myself. Girl, date yourself. Go to the movies by yourself. Go get a massage by yourself. Go to dinner by yourself. It is so powerful to actually do the things for yourself that you expect for someone else to do. If you want someone else to wine and dine you, honey, wine and dine yourself. If you want somebody to take you to get your hair done, nails done, everything did, honey, go and take yourself to get your nails done, hair done, everything did. If you want someone to treat you a certain way, baby, treat yourself that way. Date yourself. Now, the funny thing is, this is number 4. All of this that I just said circles right back to the topic in the beginning of this conversation, which is that in order to get what it is that you want in a relationship, in a potential spouse, in a life partner, you have to learn how to manifest it. And the only way that you manifest and attract things is to become it. So if you need further assistance, further help in learning how to manifest, in learning how to become what it is that you want instead of trying to get it from someone else, make sure you go to the e-course section on the All Queens Army website, allqueensarmy.com. That's exactly what I created the e-course for. Situations like this, where our 30 minutes or 25 minutes on the podcast just doesn't give us enough time to go into super duper deep detail. I created that course for this particular reason, okay? Because there are going to be certain times that the things that we talk about, the things that we discuss, go a little bit deeper into action, and you'll have some questions as to how to do it. It all sounds good in theory. It all sounds good in concept. It all seems really easy when you're talking about it. But once you start trying to put it into action, to actually do it, that's when you see how sometimes it could be a little bit difficult. So that's what the e-courses are for. So Queens, with that being said, I hope you enjoyed this episode. I hope I didn't piss y'all off. I said that last week, right? But again, just like I said last week, when we talk about things specific to us, things that we need to work on, things that we need to change, things that we need help in to evolve, we have to learn how to start taking more accountability and ownership of where we are, why we're there, and how the hell to get out of it. We can't keep focusing on things outside of us, other people and other situations, focusing on that, thinking it's going to change our situation. If you really want change to come into your life, you have to start accepting accountability, and you have to actually take action and do something on your own. And it does take a little work. So Queens, I hope that that was helpful for you. I hope that you know and understand and accept that everything that I say it with love. I say it because I've been through it. I say it because some of it I'm still going through. And this is a journey that we're taking together. We're supporting each other. We're taking it together. I love you, Queens, so much. I hope you're enjoying your Monday. I hope that I've helped you out. Make sure that you reach out. If you have any questions, you Queens always know that you can reach out to me via email at breezy@allqueensarmy.com. That is BREIZY@allqueensarmy.com. I love you, Queens. Have a wonderful day. Bye.
Thank you for listening to the All Queens Army podcast. If you want to connect with Breizy Time and the All Queens Army, be sure to follow them on IG and Facebook at All Queens Army, or head over and check out the All Queens Army YouTube channel. Until next time.